I want you guys to know that I gave you guys a really important message the last time I streamed. I don't know if you remember it, right? I'm going to go easy on you a little bit because I understand that the relationship that Infrared has cultivated with its audience and the Infrared community itself is one of constant. I understand that you guys are not used to me streaming on a regular basis. But at the same time, I think what I said last time was pretty clear in terms of what I think my advice to you to do in the meantime, and Infrared's not going to be able to stream forever. I mean, guys, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to put bad ideas out there, but I'm not an immortal person. I could disappear. I could go to jail. I could die, And if in 2 weeks or a little more than 2 weeks, we start to see low morale because I'm not streaming, you guys need to do better. Not gonna lie. You need to have more discipline and you need to have more resolve. And one of the reasons I'm committing so much time to writing a book right now is because I think that it will allow a lot of you to find your own way to be able to kind of not be so dependent on my streams specifically. Thank you so much, Reaper. I appreciate you so much, man. I also want to make an announcement that I have decided that since it's just a drastic transition going on, and obviously the book is taking much longer than I expected, and obviously you expected, I think I'm going to start doing regular streams, and I want to say Thursdays at 9 to 10 o'clock. So between that window, Thursdays, 9 to 10 o'clock, I'm probably going to be streaming at minimum on a weekly basis. Thank you so much, Arwell. And by the way, guys, thank you so much, Arwell. I appreciate you so much. This is not because I need the money. A lot of what I'm doing is really a wager, and it's banking on the book being very successful even beyond the community. I know you guys are going to buy it. But I'm taking full responsibility for that. Let's call it a business decision, right? And I don't want you guys to feel bad for not subscribing or not donating. So I'm going to be doing weekly streams, not to collect, not to get subscriptions, because weekly it's not even enough anyway, but mainly to keep the community morale high and just keep you guys engaged, because I'm kind of surprised after 2 weeks. I see people blackpilling and shit, and I'm like, wow, you guys really need these streams regularly, more regularly, right? And I'm not saying you're at fault for that. And one of the things I'm trying to do is educate so that dependence won't necessarily be there, right? So I want to be clear. I'm not trying to say, I think less of you guys because of that. I'm just saying you need to find a way to keep morale high. In the meantime, I'm going to be streaming weekly at minimum, because a lot of people they're just confused, and I thought my instructions last time would have been good enough, but will do better this time, and basically explain what I think you guys should be doing, especially if you live in the United States, because I've been getting DMs, and people are a little bit confused because they feel like there's mixed messages about what's going on with the organization and my call to start meeting each other and getting to know each other. So before we get into the current events and the situation in Texas and all those kinds of things, the first thing I want to say is that before you're mature enough to start repping a brand, and that's what an organization is, it's a brand, before you're going to start doing things in public on a formal level, there's informal groundwork that needs to be laid. So before you're going to be given your card, your communist card, before you're going to be given your, official stamp of approval that you're recognized as a chapter of this organization, you need to do informal groundwork. And I really need to strongly emphasize this because I feel like there's a confusion surrounding this that I think is a bad sign, and I want to correct it. If you read Lenin, he will be clear about the fact that the most important work, as far as cultivating organization, the most important work of organization is done in silence. And that's exactly what I'm asking you to do. I am telling you to go to protests. I am telling you to go to rallies. I am telling you to do work as an organization. What I'm telling you is that for now, I don't want you to be uploading it to the internet. I don't want you to be waving flags and declaring a formal I don't want you to do it formally. Formal organizational work means you're doing this on behalf of an organization. Informal work means you're just going there with people who you know and who you can trust, and you're experimenting primarily with garnering information. And I want to basically tell you guys that this is the essence of science. You need to be going to these protests and these rallies and these whatever Trump campaign rallies, and you need to be collecting data and information. You need to get a feel of the sentiment that's on the ground. You need to talk to people. You need to appraise their opinions. You need to go down and actually just in the first place, before you shout slogans at them and before you try to convert them, you need to actually get an idea of the level of people's consciousness right now, the feeling and the mood. And then second of all, you need to start testing and experimenting which messages people are receptive to and which ones they're not. And you need that experience. You need the experience of going down to a Trump rally and having your message rejected. And that could be as simple as striking up a conversation and just seeing, for example, what are the limits of receptivity in terms of communication? When you use the C word, the communist word, how much can you get away with that, for example? When you talk about ideas of nationalization, are they going to immediately associate that negatively with communism? See, you need to get a feeling of these kinds of things. And that doesn't mean you start waving flags and taking pictures and putting them on Twitter. That means you need to do it in silence and informally. But yes, you need to start doing that. I'm not saying print out flyers and print out posters and start advertising an organization. I'm saying you need to do work because, guys, work is the opposite of speech. Did you know that? Did you know work is the opposite of speech? When you actually are working, no one is saying anything. And I'll explain why that is. When you work, you have to obey the laws of reality itself. And that's not negotiable. You know, the method, for example, with which you're going to mine ore out of the ground is not something you can discursively negotiate with reality. You have to submit to the laws of reality. And this likewise holds true for social reality. Nobody cares what your opinion is. You need to figure out objectively where people's sentiments, moods, and feelings are and where their consciousness is. What's up, Ella? And you can't take it personally, and you can't allow it to hurt your feelings and demoralize you and say, oh, this will never work. This is the beginning of science. I mean, imagine you're in a laboratory and you're trying to, I don't know, discover a specific chemical that works for removing paint the best kind of way or something, right? Are you going to tell yourself that it's impossible for this to ever work? No, you're going to experiment. And, 99% of experimentation is failure. But I actually think that because of the discursive experience the community already has, you're not going to have a 99% failure rate. But you need to prepare to work in silence. Before you're mature enough to be the recipient of an official organization, you need to be working in silence without the guarantee and without the feeling of, oh, I'm acting on behalf of this organization. I'm acting on behalf of, I'm shouting slogans at people. I'm trying to convert people to my organization. That's not how it works. You need to have a sense of where the masses are right now. So a lot of people are asking, like, for example, the current Texas situation. Haas, what do we do? No, Haas says don't do anything. No, Haas says go down and start. It's neither of those. What you need to do is you need to go to these protests or these events in no official capacity, maybe with like-minded people, and you need to have conversations with people. You need to listen to what people are saying. What kind of speeches are they giving? What's the mood? What's the atmosphere? It's also important to scout out which organizations and which political figures are taking advantage of the situation. Are the Proud Boys there? Are they successful? Are they making inroads? You need to scout these things out and not only see what works in terms of your messaging, but see what works in terms of what other people are, because we're not the only people that are trying to give political meaning and political consciousness to the events that are going on. And there's never one, we're not going to be content with, oh, I went to a MAGA rally and this guy said he doesn't like communism. Pack it up, it's over. That's actually not how it works. You go to a MAGA, we all know that communism as a word has a negative connotation. But does the concrete content of communism, is that negative to them? If you talk about things like the UAW strike, for example, are they inherently hostile to that? If you use the language of class struggle and you talk about land ownership and who owns the land and who owns the mines and the resources, if you word things in the right way, does that resonate with people? You need to kind of experiment and figure these things, because I did 1% of that when I went to a MAGA rally, and people seemed to be fine with the word MAGA communism back then. Now it's, the leaders of the conservative movement or the Republican Party have done a lot to kind of dampen. It's not a fresh word anymore. It's not like the novelty is worn off, basically. But you need to do what I did in that video. Harold, thank you so much. I appreciate you, man.
Never stop fighting.
So I want my instructions to be absolutely clear. Yes, the organization is on the way. But guys, you're not even going to be ready for that organization if you're not informally doing groundwork in silence. Guys, I'm not going to be there with you every step of the way. If we're launching an organization, guess what? You're going to have to make decisions, and Haas isn't going to be there. You're going to have to be confronted with, and I don't even know about them. And actually, you're going to report to me on my streams, for example, and actually inform me about what's going on most of the time with an organization. So you guys need to really, I'm trying to get you guys to be more comfortable with figuring things out on your own. Because an organization is not just going to be Haas barking orders at all of you to do everything. One man army.
Loss. Good to see you on Kick. Also, Florida has a major neo-Nazi problem. Need to spread Marxist-Leninism in my state.
I agree, and don't wait for me. Get to it. Get to it. I hope that we've provided sufficient clarity on a lot of these matters. I mean, for example, we started doing the InfraWiki project, which I'm very proud of, and I actually want to see more work being done in that InfraWiki. I think the InfraWiki, revamping it and writing art, it's brilliant, right? And actually, I might review some on stream later, because some of the articles are pretty funny, and we can, But guys, I want you guys to actually work on the InfraWiki, and I want it to be professional. I don't want you guys to shout slogans. We need to do... Listen. We're not activists. Okay, this isn't about activism. This is about having a correct and scientific appraisement of reality and discursively adjusting. And also, yes, actionably adjusting to that. Our actions should reflect the correct scientific knowledge of reality. But first, you need to have the knowledge. You don't go and start running around with signs and slogans and shouting things at people as the first order of business. The first order of business is having a sober, objective, and clear understanding of the reality that you're in. And that's been a pretty consistent message from Infrared from the very beginning. So I want to be clear about that. And for those of you that are impatient about the book release of the book and the organization, look, clearly this is worth it enough for me to take the risk. As you guys can tell, I'm not really making much of an income. Thankfully, I'm not going to be going into debt this month. I have reserves thanks to December and stuff, but I'm taking a risk and I take full responsibility for that. But if I'm taking this risk, clearly I think it's worth it. I'm fine. I'm not fretting. I'm not worried about anything. These days that are passing, everything is going according to plan, just to be clear. Joe, thank you so much.
Move like the Bolsheviks. everywhere amongst the people in all sections. In the unions,
Yeah.
in the workplace,
Wow.
in the churches, in the demonstrations. Constantly taking the temperature of the workers.
Wow, Black Pack. Thank you so much, man. Again, guys, I don't really even deserve it. But thank you. I do appreciate it. Thank you. I wanted to give a sneak peek. With Grayson and Jackson's interview with Guansha. I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek about the direction that infrared's going to be going in this year. Specifically with the interview between, if you haven't watched it, it's on the YouTube, between Grayson, Jackson, and Guansha, which is Chinese media. And many of you guys forgot, maybe, about people like Grayson. But Grayson's been working behind the scenes for years. Did you know that? Now, it's not only Grayson either. Thank you so much, Raphael. I appreciate you. Because people forgot that infrared is a collective, and it's not just Haas. And the rest, and people are like, where's the other people? And it's like, well, they're just not streaming. The infrared vision videos aren't really coming out, but they're still doing other things that are absolutely crucial. I'm telling you guys that things are going on that are not just about me streaming anymore. To be clear. And it's not just the book, and it's not just the organization either. Infrared is qualitatively entering a new stage. And I talked about last year, we're laying the groundwork. Well, now the groundwork has pretty much been laid, and we're easing into it, basically. But I want you guys, if you're ever thinking of taking a black pill, I almost want to laugh. Like, you guys don't know what's going on behind the scenes, okay? Guys, to be honest, if I'm black pilled and I'm depressed, I'll just fucking hit live, like, every day. And generate energy to cheer me up, too. I don't need to do that because the future is really fucking bright, guys. It's really bright. You don't ask Jackson, okay? Ask Jackson if you don't believe me. The future is very, very bright for infrared. I'm doing this stream because I'm getting told there's black pillars and there's this morale problem. So I want to clarify some things. So, okay, there's another thing I wanted to say, which is that, guys, I'm still tweeting every single day, and at least multiple times a week. I'm providing informative content, usually kind of like essays, on Twitter. So that's another thing. I want you guys to start reading and start getting literate. I'm hearing reports that Gen A, the skibbity toilet generation, doesn't even know how to read anymore. Thank you so much, Stigmarist. Appreciate you so much. I want you guys to be literate. I want you guys to be able to read. I want us to be, because this is, guys, it's kind of strange to say, but like, I was shocked. But one of the reasons infrared is as successful as it is literally just because our literacy level is like very much above average. Like, yeah, we were reading books. You know, we were not only reading books, we were articulating them in novel and independent ways. We were synthesizing information that people weren't doing before, and that's a talent and a skill I want you guys to have as well, because then you're going to be leaders of your own generation in your own right. So yeah, you can get used to the streams happening less, and you're not the only one being punished by it. I am as well. Like I said, I'm not making a guaranteed income for as long as I'm not streaming regularly. And I'm willing to, you guys have been crazy generous this stream, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying I'm not streaming, I'm not making money. And that's the risk I'm taking. Do you have to understand how optimistic I am to do that? Like, streaming is how I've made a living and paid my bills for years. And now I'm saying I have so much confidence. I have so much confidence in the current plan that I'm going to be fucking fine. I'm going to be fucking fine. And that's purely belief. That's purely my confidence and nothing else. So if I have that confidence, I want you to have that confidence. And I don't want IGG to start losing energy. Diogenes, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I don't want IGG to start losing energy. I don't want you guys to start... I want you guys to be more active. I want you guys to be more involved. I want you guys to keep it up even more, right? to an even greater extent than you are now. This should be a renaissance of infrared. And guys, you know how I know this? Streaming is not the only thing that creates communities. Bronze Age Pervert has an entire trend in community on Twitter. That guy's never even streamed in his life, and he's basically anonymous. We can build a very powerful and strong community right now. And I think you guys are mature enough at this point. Guys, the level of seriousness, I want to be honest about something. I'm just going to come clean. I never took this let me rephrase that. I've always taken this seriously, right? I've never taken my presentability very seriously. From my first tweets on Twitter and some of my first streams, a lot of the hatred I generated is just because, like, I'm trolling. And I didn't care that people took it seriously because I was like, yeah, fuck you, I don't care. But I'm not saying I'm done with comedy. I'm not saying I'm done with a little bit. We do a little trolling, right? But there's a level of seriousness that's coming to infrared, which we're going to have to leave a lot of the shirtless dancing behind, unfortunately. That's really what I mean. Like, we're going to have to leave a lot of the Halloween USA swords and, all that kind of wacky stuff behind. I turned 28 this year. I'm 27 right now. I started out, I was 24. Was I 24? I forget. I was 24 or 25 when I started. I'm going to be 30 in like 2 years. 2.5 years, I'll be 30. Slightly over 2.5. So, I'm not saying the comedy's done. I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to be a fucking homeless bum for the rest of my life. Because there's something very, like I said, Grayson was in China. I don't care what leftists think of me. I don't care what they think of me. Like, you guys know that, right? For you, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what anyone... I really don't care what any political current in America thinks of me, right? But, like, I care what the Chinese think of me. I care what Russians think of me. Because, you know what? I actually do have a lot of serious ideas I want to exchange and communicate with them. I care what the masses think of me because we do want to win them over, right? I'm not saying we have to have a stick up our ass and we have to be, like, devoid of humor. I'm just saying we need to start taking this a little more seriously than we have, especially with, again, an upcoming launch of an organization.